I am blowing a stinking fat because Clay worked on the bees. He washed his hair. He took a bath. It's the next day. We went over to set and look at our sweet little Jello peas, and they would not leave my cupcake alone.
You want to know the reason? I got stung yesterday, and they still had the pheromones on me.
And he washed his hair
I scrubbed up good this morning.
like he always does. And I would think that the bite, all that, a day later they'd be done with them.
No, the pheromones last a while. I'm just going to have to stay away from them for about 3 days so all the pheromones wear off. And then I can go back over and set and enjoy the bees. I got stung yesterday at the temple when I took my hood off. They still wanted to come after me. I got stung in the temple. And like she said, I took my shower and washed my hair and everything. You're not going to wash the pheromones off. We went over to set, and one of them got me in the top of the ear.
But let me say this. I was sitting next to him. The bees did not bother me at all.
Because you did not get stung.
No, I know. But they kept swarming around him.
Because of the pheromones. How many times do I have to tell you?
I know.
Listen, people. You get stung, they're going to be after you, not after anybody that didn't
No,
get
but the
stung.
reason I'm bringing it up is because even after you took a shower, the next day...
Pheromones don't wear off in an hour. They wear off in a couple of days.
I know, sweetheart, but a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. If you get stung, stay away from the bees for a couple of days.
Oh, because they were grouchy yesterday. Because he had to get in there and do some real digging.
I had to cut a lot of this. I had to cut a lot of the wax and honeycomb off the bottom of the short frames to put them into the short box. And they were not having it. I got stung probably 12 to 14 times. And I was covered with the pheromone. And they were after me all day long. So we figured we'd get overnight. We'd be able to go over and sit down for a few minutes, but it didn't work. The one who was buzzing around me could smell the pheromones still at my temple because that's where he was swarming me. So as we got up to leave, I got stung in the top of the ear.
Now, just so you know, too, that if you get a sting, you don't just pull it out. Tell them how to get the sting out.
If the stinger's still in you, which they will be, you take and you scrape it off, and it pulls the stinger out. But you're still going to have the pheromones there.
But because they stung him on the ear, he couldn't see it, so I took it out, but I went and washed my hands because I'm like, I'm taking any chance.
Well, you stay away from them, too.
No, I do. I'm going to stay away from them.
You're going to get stung on your hand if you go there.
No, I'm going to stay away from them. But
So this is Friday morning. I'm just going to stay away from them throughout the weekend. They already got done what I need to be done with them. So if I don't go out and see them for 3 or 4 days, they'll be fine.
We have plenty to do this week, that's for sure. We've had a lot going on this week anyway. We went to the zoo for his birthday. It was Clay's birthday this week. I got my second coronavirus shot, which you can hear that in the video. It was Father's Day on Sunday. And plus...
So just don't let things like that deter you.
Yeah, if you're going to have bees, you're going to get
She got a little frightened, and it's nothing to be frightened about.
Well, I don't like it when people get stung more than once. My son is allergic to bees. They say a lot of beekeepers are allergic to bees anyway. We always have an EpiPen and things like that just because...
just have Benadryl on hand.
And Benadryl and things like that. So...
No, I got stung like 14 times yesterday. I didn't take anything.
So like
no Benadryl or anything, but I'm not allergic to bees.
So like my son has an EpiPen if he ever has a situation. So...
But I wouldn't have got stung at all. It would have been a normal check on the bees. It would have been, they would smoke them, move the frames, look at the frames, put them back. They don't get upset over that. But what I was doing is I was pulling frames out, tipping them on their side, cutting off the brood and the excess off the bottom, wax off the bottom of the short frames, so I could put the short frames into the small box, so I could put it on the top, So there'd be brood in the top and brood in the bottom. And where I took the short frames out of the bottom box, I inserted long frames to replace the short frames. And they were opened a little bit longer than they wanted to be. It was a windy day. They don't like it when you're messing with them. And they sure didn't like me cutting all that brood and drone brood off the bottom of those 5 frames, which would have been 10 frames with both hives. Now the first hive, the red hive, I got stung twice. And when I got into the blue hive, everybody was so upset that they just smelt the pheromone on me and just went to town. So it was my own fault for not just doing the red hive today and doing the blue hive a couple of days later. I wanted to get it all done in one day so that they could go to work building the honey or the wax onto the new frames and laying their eggs in that the way they should be on the larger frame.
And maybe I'll add this in the process of this video as well. Clay and I, we are taking our time studying the bees. We're kind of like doing research like scientists.
I'm just doing what I know to do with
them. We're observing. We're not in a rush to
I'm not studying anything. I'm just doing what I
Well, no, but what I mean is we're not studying them. We're observing them.
I am giving them what they need to get through this winter. I'm not building up any honey sources for us.
No. We're not trying to build up.
I want them to build up the honey for themselves so that they can go through the winter.
Our goal, I guess what I'm saying is by studying and observing, our goal is to make healthy bees, healthy queens, gentle, nice, kind hives, and work with them for our own personal benefit and to share with you guys so you guys can learn. So we're not in like a big rush to sell 1 million nukes or a big rush to make $1 million in honey.
I'm here to make sure the bees are taken care of.
So we just wanted to share, like today my thought was I wanted to share with you guys that if you get stung, just because you got stung one day doesn't mean that, you know, knowing your bees, just see if they still hold a grudge the next day.
When they get,
meaning still attack if a few
right now I'm trying to get them to fill up these frames, the large frames and the small frames, with brood and a little bit of honey and pollen to keep them going. When they get those filled up, my next move is to put a queen excluder on the top and put a honey super box on top of that. So the queen doesn't go up and lay eggs and they don't fill the top with pollen, they fill it with honey. That way they've got honey throughout they'll fill the bottom 2 boxes with brood and pollen and maybe a little bit in the top, but most of it's going to be honey. And that honey will be for the bees. If they get it filled up by middle of September, I may take a frame or 2 from each hive for ourselves and put some empty frames back in, or the frames that we got the honey out back in there so that they can continue to fill them up for winter.
Well, we definitely have to get...
If they don't do that, then I'm going to just leave them, the honey for them for the winter, and in the spring we'll do what we have to do to...
I am definitely hoping
back on track.
We get some honey because our honey is all gone.
Well, if you have to buy it, you have to buy it.
Well, we'll just wait. We'll just wait.
All I'm worried about is make sure they got enough honey to get through the winter storm. Because they'll work their way up to the honey boxes to feed themselves.
No, we'll just wait for our own honey because it's hard to find honey that's real honey. So I'll just wait till these guys produce.
We've went a few years without any honey. We can do it again.
Right.
But I'm not after the honey. I want the bees.
Oh no!
I want the bees to survive the winter.
Right, and so
because without the bees, you don't get the pollination of the trees and the bushes, our berry bushes, our flowers. You need the bees. So I'm worried about keeping those bees healthy throughout the season. I don't care about their honey.
But I mean, our goal is basically just to let them do their thing and to enjoy them and watch them and try to make the best environment possible so that they can do that.
And that's why I took the I wanted to take the short frames out of the big boxes because all they were doing is making a mess on the bottom of the frame. And they were making cross comb and everything, and it makes a mess. And I wanted to get it straightened out so that they were using the frames the way they're supposed to, and filling them up the way they're supposed to, building up brood the way they're supposed to, and bringing in pollen and nectar like they're supposed to. And now that I've got all 4 hives set with big frames in the bottom, small frames on the top, now they can go about their business. Now the last 2, when I bought those nukes, they were already in large frames, so I didn't have to mess with them. The first 2 were short frame nukes, and I had to put them in the big box. I probably should have started out with a small box and then just switched to them, but I didn't do it that way because they were new and I didn't want to upset them, so they swarmed and flew off. So,
You feeling a little bit better today?
yeah, I felt a lot better.
You were actually pretty good yesterday.
Except for I got stung in the fingertips. I couldn't grip or anything yesterday. My fingers swelled up. But I was fine.
So that's what happens, and I have not been stung yet this year. I hope not to be. Pray I don't.
If you're not messing with them, they won't sting you. The only reason they stung me is because I was messing with them. The way they saw it, I was disturbing their home life.
Well, you were right in the hive.
It would be like you were sitting at your kitchen table having dinner with your family, and 8 or 10 people busted in your house and started rummaging through your paperwork and that while you're trying to enjoy your evening at home. That was pretty much what I was doing to them. I was invading their territory, and they were going to let me know they weren't happy, and they did. So I got stung a few times, and the pheromones just told the other bees, keep coming at me. So it was my own fault for getting stung. And then the smoker wasn't, until when we got all done, the smoker wanted to work right. So I guess what I do from now on is get the smoker going and wait an hour before I start working with the bees, so that the smoker's actually going to work.
So we've been keeping bees, what, 6 years?
Yeah,
6 years. Or about it, yeah. We've been keeping bees for a while, but you just gotta...
I'm not out to make money off the bees. I'm not out to make money off the honey. I just need the bees for my yard.
We're retired. We're just enjoying the fun of doing things we love. We love nature. We love wildlife. We love zoos. We're playing the zoos are finally open, and here in upstate New York, we're able to go. And tell them about the zoo chairs at the Rochester Zoo. About what happened that day with the benches. The first time and then the second time.
Oh, we went 2 years ago. We went just for my hip operation.
To the Rochester Zoo.
For the Rochester Zoo.
In New York.
Seneca Park Zoo. And it was before my hip operation. I still had problems with my hip. And we were walking around with the cane. And it seemed like no matter how far we went, there was no place to sit down to rest. So on the way through the zoo...
Out on the way out.
No, we went through the zoo.
Okay.
One of the zoo engineers was walking around, and we stopped her.
Well, let me excuse
We
myself.
stopped
Oh,
her.
I'm sorry.
Let me tell the story.
I was going to
You
say...
need to stop. Because you interrupt me and get me off kilter.
Okay, go ahead, baby.
Halfway through the zoo, on the way back through, there was a zoo engineer that we talked to, and we told her that they needed to be more elderly and handicapped friendly. And she said, well, how would we do that? And I said, well, you need to put more benches, even if they're 300 feet apart. You need to put more benches so that the elderly, which there's a lot of elderly, take their grandchildren to the zoo. There's a lot of handicapped that need to sit and rest every now and then because they're winded if they've got emphysema or, any other ailment like my hip injury. I had no place to sit down and rest. So she said, well, that's a good idea. We really didn't think about that. And I said, well, even if you had a bench every 300 feet, it would be more consumer friendly. So on the way out, we went up to the information desk and we told them the same thing, that they need more benches for the handicapped and the elderly to rest, and they would have more visits from that portion of society. And they said, well, that's a good idea. We'll put that in our suggestion box. Well, we went, because of the COVID-19, zoos were closed, and then they opened up earlier in the season, but you were limited to, buying pre-advanced tickets and everything. And come June 1st, they opened them up so that everybody in the public could go without buying advanced tickets. So we decided to go, and we went about the middle of June. And we were very surprised. They took our suggestion very seriously, and there was benches all over the place. So just want to thank the Seneca Park Zoo for taking our suggestions seriously, and to help out the community with the elderly and the handicapped to be able to rest in between exhibits. And that's what I was trying to get across, Ruthie. And she likes to interrupt me when I'm trying to stay on track with a idea. All right, now what did you have to say, Ruthie?
Oh, I was going to mention that, guys, don't worry about Clay and I. Clay and I, we're happy. This is how we are. But anyway, they were working on the zoo at that time. They were like going to completely, not completely, but they were remodeling a huge section of the zoo.
Down on the far end, past the elephants, they were going to put in a place for the rhinoceros, and the giraffes, and the zebras.
So they had stuff set up all over. They were like sending guys around with clipboards and redoing stuff. And so when we saw the people walking around...
But we walked all the way to the end, and there was no place to sit. And my hip was killing me at that. And there's a set of stairs and a ramp and everything else. When you went down to the elephants, it was all downhill. But on the way back was all uphill, and there was no place to sit. So...
Well, when we saw the people like with clipboards and they were remodeling, we knew that, you wouldn't be a complainer. That would be the time to say, hey, have you guys thought about seating for your grandparents? Because a lot of grandparents come and bring their kids, or older people go to the zoo too, because, or mothers with babies. If you have no place to sit, then you think, oh, I don't want to go there. I can't sit. But it was really nice.
Well, they didn't even have a place to sit where the playground was, so you could let your children play. And the parents had to stand.
So whoever we saw that day was very appreciative, and she was so nice. She was like, we didn't even think about that. And she said they were in the planning committee. I think she almost said like they were having a meeting right then. So she went, and they had lots and lots of places to sit. And I was so happy, because that means Clay and I will be able to go to that zoo.
There was a small stretch where there was no place to sit, but it wasn't as far apart as they were last time we went.
So that was wonderful, because they listened to the people. And then when we went, they had, all the animals were out too. But we saw zebras, polar bears, giraffes, rhinoceros, wolves.
And now we have to go to Syracuse Zoo, which is Rose Gifford.
Burnett Park. Is it?
No, it used to be Burnett Park, but now
that's right. Okay.
It's the Rose Gifford Zoo. And we haven't been there in 2 years, so we need to see how they have ramps when you first go into the building. They have ramps for handicap, for the wheelchairs and things, but now we need to see if they have the benches throughout the zoo.
And I have to say that my favorite zoo, and I'm originally from Baldwinsville, but my favorite zoo in New York State right now is the Rochester Zoo. And so if you ever come to New York and upstate New York, and you're looking for a place to take your family, if you have to choose a zoo, I would probably suggest that one. They have the Utica Zoo I want to go to, and there's that other one that your kids went to. We haven't been to that one, where where they drove through or something.
Yeah, but I've looked at both of them online, and I never see any place to sit down.
Yeah, and if you know what, too, if you are out of state and you like, because Clay and I do this sometime. We're like, let's go on vacation. Let's go visit the zoos. We'll just type in Rochester
You could,
Zoo, or what's the name of it again? The name of the actual official name of the zoo, Seneca
Park Zoo and the Rose Gifford Zoo.
So you can type that in, and then you can see and go visit the zoo. You know, maybe you're like us, you're elderly, and you just. Maybe you want to go to the zoo in the middle of winter, and that's
they're open all winter too.
No, but what I mean is sometimes we'll just go on vacation. Like we've gone to Disney a couple times. Hey, let's see what's at Disney now, or
I've never been to Disney, and I don't have a plan on going.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't care for a lot of crowds. That's why we go to the zoo. I go during the week. Chances you may have is a few mothers with some strollers, or if a school decides they're going to. Take the kids
for
the day at the zoo. But otherwise, if you wait until the weekends, it's always packed.
I've been to the zoo or Disney before, but honestly, I think I would rather go to the zoos. You know, it's just, you know.
I don't like standing in line.
Yeah, me neither. I'm lazy.
And if I'm standing, my sense of balance and my hip and that start bothering me if I'm standing in one spot too long. Even in a grocery store, if I'm waiting I can walk through the grocery store for hours back and forth, but as soon as I have to stand in line to check out, and you've got people with carts full of groceries, my hip starts bothering me before we even get to the checkout.
Oh, and let me mention this too, because we're running out of time on the video, but they actually have bees at the zoo.
Yeah, we saw the bees.
Which was kind of cute. Okay, guys, so with that, sweetheart, say the
thing.
The thing.
Remember, big or small, you too could be a backyard farm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.